One of you monkeys is a modern tool created not too long ago, used to capture vloggers' lives, as if we do anything interesting. We walk and we return. There's a squirrel, oh my god. That's the type of cinema a vlogger can bring you. The other one, if you're not so recent, are you? Almost as if you were abandoned behind a dumpster. Will they ever continue the lineup? Is there even a difference? Can you see it? Do I have pink eye? Should I see a doctor? You're ridiculous. I'm on a vegan diet. It heals so fast I can hardly remember the last time I had pink eye. I need help.
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
You know, the very definition of a side street is a quiet street. Apparently not. Do you not see a difference? That would be hilarious. If the Sony X3000 is winning this battle somehow. Boom. Sony X3000 on your side. GoPro on that other one. How you doing? 5.3K open gate. Bigger sensor. Sony X3000, the little engine that could. It always can. I'll spare you my diseases for now. Here we have, you know, the Sony X3000 was competing against the GoPro Hero 6 and it destroyed it. It wasn't even close. It was so much better. And then the Hero 7 came out with hypersmooth. That was the first time that happened. And we're like, oh boy, that might have caught up. Oh, Sony, what are you doing? You gonna make a new one soon? They're not. And now we're what, 5 generations later. GoPro keeps making them boom, boom, one after another, and now it's hard to recommend the little X3000. If it was an X4000, we might be talking, but Sony went in many different directions. So one of the major improvements, which in my opinion is not an improvement at all, is we have 5.3K on the GoPro versus 4K on the Sony. Thanks. We're not playing that game. But when it comes to frame rates, it's a little embarrassing. So that was full HD, 120 frames per second on the Sony versus 4K 120 on the GoPro. One might have looked sharper, might have looked more stable. I don't know. I'm not throwing opinions out there until I see the footage. It can also, both of these can do 240 frames per second. The Sony footage wasn't full HD, but it was a member of the HD Society in HD. 720p, that's still HD on TV. Why not with us? So there it is. Do you notice any of the vignettes on the stupid thing I bought that was not designed properly at all? Yeah, you piece of shit. I have this thing on the front that accepts filters. So I can now use 49mm filters. So we got a Black Pro Mist on the Sony, Glimmer Glass on the Gopro. My God, the cinema's ours. Or is it? Not at all. Because it's frickin' vignettes. It wasn't designed. It should have been a 55mm or something. I hate you, China. But am I glistening in the sun? I could be. You don't know that I'm not. So like, I'm gonna have to crop in a little bit, maybe black bars up here to get rid of that corner weirdness. But if I do that, the cinema's ours, my friend. Blooming everywhere. We're blooming. You're blooming. I think it's a pretty big advantage for the GoPro doing these side-by-sides because I just have to kind of slide over a bit for the GoPro. We're using like a much larger sensor area. Who has more dynamic range? One of them? I do believe It's a Sony victory, most likely. I don't know how to expose this Sony, because every time I remember this well. Every single vlog I've ever made, I get the footage back. Is that a free flower pot watering thing? No, you're coming with me. Every single vlog I've ever made, I get home, I see the footage, and there's periods where I'm super dark, and then other periods where my face is a complete whiteout. Sony, you really sucked at exposing, auto-exposing, even though it's like super smooth. It's like, oh, that's good. And it glides nicely, but it never exposes for the face. And I find this is a problem with their bigger cameras too. Sony A7S III, I'm looking at you, asshole. Always, I'm dark. I can never get those sliders right. Whereas the GoPro, don't really have to think about that. I always seem to be pretty well exposed, no matter if I switch arms or not. Like right now, sun's at this angle, boom, we're over here now. Not a huge difference unless there was, but there might not have been. And GoPro's pretty nice. The color science, I think, I kind of like it in the GoPro. It's very pleasing, whereas Sony might be a little tomato red on those skin tones, but kind of natural for an action cam. A lot of them are really terrible. These two are okay. Now, it's not all doom and gloom for the X3000. It actually has several key advantages. I wrote notes. The first one is it has a mic jack built right in the side. Whereas this one, you need an adapter. And if you have that adapter, you now need a cage to hold the thing. It's a big clunky mess. Does the preamp sound good? Sure. If there's one thing I can guarantee, it's that the audio didn't change at all when I switched over to the Sony X3000. I just plugged the lav mic right in there, and it's not compressed or super loud and clipping every word. It's just really good and nice. That was the problem, hot preamps. There are lav mics that are so like high sensitivity or low sensitivity, I mean, that can actually handle these hot preamps, and good luck finding one. I don't know, I'm not gonna buy like 15 lav mics and test them all. I tested one and it was like too quiet. And I was like, okay, so it is possible. Not likely though, that you're gonna find one. Now, who has the better 1080p? Oh, and audio without any mic jacks or anything. That's the one thing about this device that I just bought. It also has a foam piece, so it should be decent for wind noise. Is it though? So like Sony X3000 always had great audio, and there's my cord falling out. As I was saying, there's pretty decent audio for a little thing. Versus the GoPro, what are you doing? Are you even handling wind noise? Where do your mics even come from? There's like awkward ones, like 3 of them all over the body, one behind, in front, on the side. Leave me alone with that. Is the X3000 audio better than what you're hearing right now? It better be. I'm in the shade. There's cars everywhere, even though they're side streets. They're meant for bicycles. They're not? I'll leave. But is Sony 1080p the stuff or what? It's better than the GoPro, isn't it? GoPro 1080p was always an afterthought. And am I even in focus for either of them? That's the bunch of bullshit that we're talking about here. Can you see my pink eye through the sunglasses with the sun? Oh no. Alright, here's a little test. GoPro at vlogging distance, very close, I can touch the camera. Close focusing filter, engaged. I'm sharper now, right? That's annoying. Is the Sony X3000 similarly problemed? Am I in focus? Am I now in focus? Wow. This is the wrong size, so I can't actually hold it here. And it probably vignettes pretty hard. Just a tad, tiny touch on those vignettes. I don't mind them. I noticed that this loses focus over time due to the sensor being glued onto the back with monkey glue. But other than that, fatal flaw, it's better. It's a better system. Now, one major advantage of the X3000 is the battery life. The GoPro's at 8%. I just charged it. The last time I used this, I fully charged it maybe a week ago. So it's been sitting there for a week, but 8%, it might die on this like 20-minute video. That's bullshit. Whereas Sony, my God, you just continue to go day after day, week after week. You make several videos and you're like, oh, I should, hey, switcheroo, boom. Easy to do it. It's easier to switch the battery out too, slightly. Boom, bam, in. This is unplug the thing, slide down. Oh no, I'm bending the cord thing. As you've been witnessing the whole time, Sony has the optical stabe plus digital, whereas GoPro's only digital, but it is far superior, I got to admit it. The Sony, it rocks. I do notice it, but it is a natural feel to it. Whereas GoPro, if you do an angry dad walk, it's been a while since we did that, you stupid kid. What was that, a B+? We studied all night. Oh, you're not getting broccoli for dinner. Guess what dessert is? Not cookies, milk. You're getting milk. So with the GoPro, you shake. Background perfectly stable. You're shaking around like a lunatic. It's not the greatest look, whereas the Sony, if you're doing that, the whole thing is kind of shaky and not great, but it's more natural, kind of. Not better, just more natural. Another advantage of the Sony is the file sizes. It's just one file. No matter how long you record, I'm pretty sure you could just do an hour and it's one file, whereas GoPro is still splitting them up. Hey, buddy. Hey, little buddy. The GoPro now has like 12-minute splits instead of 4-minute ones. Okay, thanks, but yeah, you split them for no reason that I can perceive. So that's kind of annoying. And they're harder to edit files, especially that 5.3K that we're doing now. And then you side by side it with something else. It's annoying. So you need a more expensive computer. This is the simpler solution for most people, I think. X3000. Without all this rig stuff and that thing I bought from AliExpress, that's a fail. That fails hard. But whatever. I thought I had it. Could put a lens cap on there. I was like, perfect. Glimmer glass, yes. No, not at all. Also, the Sony's just way more reliable. It never glitches. Every GoPro glitches. This one feels good to me. A lot of people say it overheats, but most GoPros leading up to the 10 would just like shut off, random glitches, you're losing your file, your audio's clipping, you're warping, screen splits, half shade, half sun, like you never know what's gonna happen on this thing. You cannot rely on it, whereas the Sony, like, you never ever lose a file, so at least you can count on it. One thing about the Sony that sucks is there's no hyperlapse. You could try to do it, but it's the worst hyperlapse on earth. Oh God. See the battery. Oh, I hate you so much. All right, new GoPro battery in there. As I was trying to say before you died in my arms, much better menus on the GoPro. Custom modes. Just you want to switch to slow mo, easy tap. Not easy because your touchscreen doesn't work ever, but in theory, you can just switch and save custom modes. Whereas the Sony, it's a bit more awkward of a menu design. You get used to it. In fact, you can do it without looking once you memorize the sounds and you're just like, yes, this button, that one, down, down, this one, out, to get into slow-mo. But whatever, you get used to it. It sucks. One annoying thing about the Sony that probably won't plague your life, but these clips, fun times. So you put that on the bottom, I can clip it on here, and then I'm just walking around. If I see something, unclip, and I'm vlogging. That just ever so slightly, by like 2 millimeters, blocks the SD card slot thing. I'm sure there's a device you could get in and stick it in there, along like a chopstick that you shave down. I don't know, man. It's really annoying that that isn't my solution now. So every time I gotta unscrew that. That's the Sony way. So the ergonomics, they're not good, and they never will be. Nor will the color science ever work to make you look like a normal human being. So my final thoughts, after using the X3000 for like 3 years, if not more, traveling all over the world with it, that's the thing, man. It's so small, beautiful. Just for vlogging, you get a little wind muff on the front, that's kind of annoying. It's never foolproof. That was the only thing you had to do to rig this thing out. The bulbous lens is annoying because you always touch it and then you're like, ah, shit, why does my video look so terrible? It's because you touched it. So you always got to bring a cloth. It's the smallest thing you could get. When it comes to the GoPro, it is basically superior in every single way. It's not the most reliable thing you ever seen. It's heavier once you rig it all out. But once you do, you're getting 10-bit beauty with black bar madness. Or vertical vlogs. You can switch it on up. You don't even have to mind. Oh, but don't do the sea walk in the street. That's how you get shot. That's good times. So, which camera do you prefer? Image quality? I think the X3000 is just so nostalgic for me. I overlook all its flaws, but it's kind of nice. And thank you, my friend, for donating it to the channel. I really appreciate it. I love that I spent more money to buy this thing that was a great purchase. So what do you think? Who wins the battle? 2023. Oh my god, a turkey vulture. Oh wow. See, the GoPro could get that. I just always remember seeing something on the X3000 and be like, oh, look at those yellow flowers. And then we zoom in and like, it was nothing. It was the worst show on earth. Whereas the GoPro, it's like 5.3K. That's like actually a use for that. It's like, oh, you can actually crop in a little bit and you can see what's further away. Oh my god. Thanks for watching another neighborhood episode where a vlogger ruins the lives of all the homeowners in the area. Who's that crazy man? Thank you for shopping around and buying a Camera Conspiracies t-shirt. Subscribe for more videos. See you next.